Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing of the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. Now this 16GB Wi-Fi only tablet retails for $399.99, and it is the first Note tablet outside of the 10.1, which of course is very popular and for good reason. It's quite frankly one of the best tablets ever made. So essentially what we're looking at here is an 8-inch version, as I would put it, of the Galaxy Note 2, or very similar to what we may see in the Galaxy Note 3. Of course, I do expect higher end specifications in the Note 3 since it will represent the new flagship for the brand new 10.1 as well as the 12.2. So with that said, let's talk about what we're getting for $400. And by the way, I have already seen this tablet as low as $350. So I wouldn't be surprised in the future, especially with the back-to-school sales starting now. It wouldn't be shocking if this tablet reaches $300, which I think would make it a great value. So essentially what you're getting here are the same innards from the Galaxy Note 2 as well as 10.1, much of the same experience. Let's start out with the screen. You've got an 8-inch 1280 by 800 super clear type LCD. So clearly Samsung differentiating that you're not getting the same display found on much of the third generation Galaxy Tab lineup. And I want to keep reiterating that even though Samsung has been packaging these tablets very similarly, and they do all have very similar form factors, which would lead many to believe that really the bottom line that dictates the price difference is really just screen size. It's more about the actual features and overall experience and software. So here we've got the Note experience, unlike the general third-gen Tab line, and that does require quite a bit more when it comes to processing. So good news is you've got that same quad-core Samsung processor that's found in the Galaxy Note 2 as well as 10.1, which is still right at the top of performance right now, at least before we see that ARM A15 architecture start to drop, like the Tegra 4, among others. 2 gigs of RAM. As I mentioned before, 16 gigs of onboard storage, a micro SD card slot for storage expansion, of course, full HD 1080p playback as well as capture using the onboard cameras. You do have a relatively large battery at 4600 milliampage. The operating system, of course, is Android, version 4.21 out of the box with an assurance to an upgrade to 4.22. No roadmap beyond that as it stands right now. And this tablet, again, has been on the market for a little while now. The smart remote control, universal IR port, a fantastic added value that Samsung has integrated into every single tablet in their lineup. So that's something I really like. Whether or not you end up using it is really trivial. The bottom line is that it's there if you do want it, and it's a great value. In terms of camera, that's where you're going to see an actual upgrade. The cameras here are better than what's found in the third generation Galaxy Tab lineup. You've got a 1.3 megapixel on the rear and a 5 megapixel on the front. And then, of course, you've got that S Pen, which is just unmatched right now in the industry and allows you to really change the way you interact, operate, and work efficiently with a tablet, especially in this form factor, which is really designed for someone on the go. So with that said, let me get this out of the box. Of course, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.0, DivX certification, DLNA, all of that. And Samsung does continue to use their tamper-proof seals on all of their tablets. I keep mentioning this, and some people will probably wonder why, and quite frankly, it's because for some reason Samsung's the only manufacturer doing it. And it is relevant in my opinion because you do want to make sure that you're actually getting a brand new device. So with that said, let me get this out of the box, or attempt to get it out of the box. A little bit of a narrow gap there. And all of the tablets thus far have had this same overlay, black matte finish, basically outlining what the tablet's all about. As you can see right here, true multitasking with multi-window, smart remote, S-Note with web viewer. These are all the elements of the Galaxy S4, but in a Note version. And of course the elements of the Note 2 and 10.1. So it's kind of a marriage of an already amazing feature set, but unfortunately, despite the fact that, as I mentioned before, the hardware is really nice here, as is the form factor, I can tell you guys right now, feels well made. All of these tablets are plastic, but nonetheless still very solid And in my experience, they hold up just as well as anything else in the marketplace. The fact of the matter is that the hardware is, as I just mentioned, top of the par right now, top of the line, excuse me, but in a month or even less, I don't know where a quad-core chip like this is going to sit in terms of benchmarking. Now, in terms of real-world use, I think that longevity is not a real issue. So high-gloss screen, hardware buttons at the bottom, again, mimicking that experience that we find with the Galaxy lineup of smartphones and Note smartphones. And that's smart because, quite frankly, Samsung has been very, very successful with that. Let me move the box out of the way here, and then I'll get to the balance of the contents. I want to go over the actual tablet. Let's start off with the bottom. As you guys can see, we've got a micro USB charging port here, also USB host capable. This is something that Samsung has been using now across all of their new tablets, and I applaud them because this is the way it should have been from the beginning. So you can charge your tablet with any micro USB pretty much. You don't have to use the included adapter. That's a good thing. And then host is great, hooking up other devices with an on-the-go cable. It's flanked by the stereo speakers that you'd expect on a tablet like this. Very similar to the stereo speakers and layout of the Galaxy Tab 7, which I'm just going to bring in right here. And you guys can see, even though there's a size difference, engineering and design is very, very similar. Of course, this tablet came out before the Galaxy Tab 3.7. Absolutely nothing on the left-hand side of the device except for the micro SD card slot, which is really kind of hidden on the back. I'm going to bring that up to the camera, get it in focus for you. So that is your way of basically accomplishing storage expansion. Along the top of the tablet, we do have our 3.5mm headphone jack, which this is the same placement you'll find on the Tab 7 as well. On the right-hand side of the tablet, that's where all the action really is, much like on the Galaxy Tab 3.7. We've got a reset pin, power button, your volume rocker, the infrared sensor for controlling the universal remote feature, and then down at the bottom right corner, and that's why I said this is where all the action happens, you have your actual S Pen. And that's another great thing about the entire Note experience, is that you've got a stylus, but you don't have to worry about where it's going to go. And the entire Note lineup is extraordinarily self-aware of your use of the Note, the S Pen, but I'm not getting into that today. So that pretty much covers the actual walk around. Let me get the back plastic off because Samsung does like to bombard all of their tablets with a tremendous amount of plastic, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if they think that people are going to scratch their devices out of the box. But nonetheless, I'll just peel away layer after layer. And there's even more plastic around the tablet, but I'm not going to address that right now. Now, as you can see, the layout, again, very similar to the Galaxy Note 2 and the Galaxy S4. We're looking at very simple back. Again, same plastic finish, pretty much the same finish. I'm going to bring over the 7. We've got different color schemes, but very similar finishes, very different form factors nonetheless, and hardware and pricing. The camera, though, pretty much the same, although it is protruding a little bit more than what you'd find on the third generation Galaxy Tabs. But otherwise, a fingerprint magnet, much like the front side, because everything here is high gloss. So don't expect to keep this clean without regular routine wiping. With that said, in terms of other features, of course, GPS, and just pretty much everything you'd expect from a high-end tablet right now. And that's why I think Samsung originally put this at the $400 mark, especially since it does, again, have all of the niceties of the Galaxy Note 10.1, just in a smaller form factor, which I think many people will actually appreciate more because it's certainly going to be a more flexible device for the mobile professional than a 10-inch tablet. I do still kind of lean towards using 10-inch tablets only in the home or workplace, and I feel like 7 and 8-inch tablets really are the on-the-go device if you don't already have a smartphone that really can accomplish both. So this really, in my opinion, serves as somewhat of a preview for the Galaxy Note 3, even though most of the looks are borrowed from the S4 and Note 2. With that said, let's take a look at what else is in the box over here. I have a feeling it's going to be the standard fare of what I've seen so far, which is the Samsung paperwork, which includes instructions, the quick start guide, warranty, all that good stuff. You've got your standard micro USB cable. Again, you can use any micro USB cable essentially to charge this, as well as on-the-go cable for host adapter capability. And then, of course, the wall wart to charge it. And that's yet another thing that you can pretty much use just about any manufacturer to accomplish charging with this tablet. So overall, I do think the Galaxy Note 8 is, in my opinion, right now, based on build quality, despite all being, being all plastic, overall a really nice package, especially if you don't already own a Note 2 or a Note 10.1, of course. In the same vein, if you already do own one of those Note products, this is probably a great companion in sorts, because if you're in love with the experience there, obviously now you get it on an 8-inch form factor that's really just more refined, less bezel, and more polished in terms of software, since we're starting at 4.2.1 out of the box, and 4.2.2 is not far off. So overall, I like the build. The construction is nice. I expect performance to be right on par with all of the other Note products, which basically means this tablet should be a winner all around, no questions. Battery life, performance, everything, especially if you're an artist, graphic designer who really does want to employ the S Pen for more than just simple note-taking. Of course, I'll get into more in-depth information, review, update you guys on experience, on my experiences. But, for now, that's pretty much it. Would I have liked to have seen a higher resolution display than the 1280 that we have here? Of course, it's always nice to see higher res, but the fact of the matter really remains that I think Samsung believes that's what the 10.1 update and, of course, the rumored 12.2 Galaxy Note tablets are reserved for, just extending the higher end of this brand. And I think that's where we will also see higher end internal specifications that aren't from the same crop as this tablet and the Galaxy Note, and of course older 10.1. If you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them, and of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.